Hey guys, Samo here. Thanks for checking out the channel and its contents. And if you feel like it, please do subscribe. Thanks so much. Enjoy the video. Bye.
75 particularly was just a very busy studio work year. We were also, trying to play too. That was we were lucky that we were really going out at night, and we had the gigs with Hal. Soon we were going to start 7th Avenue South, where we could really play whenever we felt like it. Yeah. But the main thing is, and the thrust of my life then was studio work, even more than Mike, because I was also doing a lot of jingles. Mike wasn't a doubler, so he wasn't on all the, he wanted to just play saxophone. He could play flute really well. He didn't want to touch the clarinet. He didn't like he could play any woodwind instrument, but this was an artistic choice, so he didn't get a lot of the jingle work. Yeah. Which luckily I only had to play trumpet or flugel. I could play a little piccolo. So that was the work. We did 10 or 15 sessions a week, and you never knew who we were going to, half the time, if it was a record date, half the time you didn't even know who the artist was. You'd know who the producer was. There was a thing called radio registry. Justin 2-8800. They would call you with a offer of a session. Hey, it's registry. We've got a 10 to 1, 2 to 5 tomorrow, and that's usually it was the next day or 2 days. For whoever the composer was, the writer, and sometimes they would say the tour we knew was for him. And you'd write it in your book. 1975. I actually found the 1975 date book, and there were like sometimes 2, 3, 4 dates a day where we just run from studio to studio. And then it all started to taper off in the mid 80s, when synthesizers and drum machines and sampling, particularly sampling, that came in. I remember being called for what I was told was an experimental film, and I was a jingle guy, and I showed up at his studio, and he had me play a chromatic scale and some high notes, some low notes, some staccato notes, and this and that. And I said, "Hey, what are we doing?" He said, "Well, it's an experimental film," but obviously he was sampling me. I didn't know what a sample was then. So when that started, all the work started, and then it was just like. Yeah. So we had to once again reinvent ourselves. Luckily, we had that kind of side career as performers, and so to speak. So it didn't affect us, but it left a lot of the studio musicians just high and dry when work stopped.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But that's what it kind of was like. Every week was different. I enjoyed it, man, because you're never sure who was going to be there. You'd see your friends. Sometimes you show up, and the next trumpet player was Thad Jones on the jingle date, or Ernie Royal or Snooky Young, Frank West. Those guys were still in town in the late 60s, early 70s. Mel Lewis might be on drums. Then the rock took over, so it was Steve Gadd, Rick Marotta, Chris Parker, and Richard T, and all those cats. That was a thrill too. Ralph McDonald, all those sessions, and Grover sessions. It's just great. I loved it. So I could have done it the rest of my life as long as I was playing too and had projects going. But sadly, all that stuff stopped, and I became a road rat, so to speak, and went out on the road and did. Playing with a lot of different bands. It's kind of ironic. I did it in reverse, because most guys go on the road when they're young, and when they're 40, that was the idea, to settle in New York and be a freelance studio guy. But mine was reversed. I went back on the road when I was about 40.
Yeah, but you love it on the road as well, right? I mean,
I love to play. The road after a while, the road got a little tiresome. You love the 2 or 3 hours you get to play, but sometimes just getting to the gig, boy, that's tough. In the hotels, and one box after another, the box of the plane, the box of your hotel room, box of your dressing room.
You're paid to travel, right? Who said that? Art Pepper or someone? I don't know who said that.
I think we're Phil Woods, one of those guys.
Phil Woods, yeah.
I just
Yeah.
read his autobiography too, so he's really good at explaining. A lot of sarcasm in that one.
Yeah.